Rumours are floating around that Israel is lining up an operation against Iran. Some US embassy staff have been evacuated from Iraq as they worry about the fears that Iran could retaliate and American assets in Iraq could be targeted as a result. We've got international affairs expert Stephen Hoadley on the program this morning. Stephen, good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning, Ryan.
So just explain this for people who may not have any idea, the link between America needing to protect some of its staff and embassy staff in Iraq, what that's got to do with Iran and in turn Israel.
Well, Iran has always labeled the United States the great Satan. Israel is the little Satan. They want to destroy Israel. They recognize that the United States is a patron of Israel. So the defense minister of Iran, you've seen it on the news, has now openly threatened U.S. bases in retaliation if Israel makes a strike on Iran's nuclear program. So it's a tit-for-tat relationship, but it's a complicated three-way triangle relationship as well, even if the United States doesn't directly engage in a strike that Israel might initiate.
And does the fact that the Americans are pulling some of their staff out of Iraq indicate that this is something that, one, will happen and two, probably quite soon?
It's precautionary. One can attribute it to Trump's showmanship. It is pretty dramatic. It illustrates Trump is a decisive international decision maker. On the other hand, it is perfectly prudent, and it is quite possible that conflict will break out. We are in the hands of a very small number of men in the Israeli cabinet. If they decide to strike Iran's nuclear program to prevent Iran from getting an explosive device, a nuclear bomb, then the United States may in fact pay the price in the retaliatory strike that Iran would take. The United States, of course, would strike back with the assistance of Israel, and then we would be into a pretty substantial regional war.
Which is obviously not something that anybody wants to see. This all kicked off, and you alluded to it, was around Iran and its nuclear program, and the UN basically saying they're not living up to what they should be. They're not following all the steps and ticking all the boxes they should be when it comes to inspections and all that kind of thing. How close? I was reading the other day that they don't quite have enough, but once they have enough enriched uranium, they'd just be a couple of weeks away from building a nuclear weapon. What's the situation there exactly?
Well, we don't know. The Israelis are claiming exactly what you said, a few weeks away. Now, keep in mind that the Iranians don't have a delivery capability yet. Even if they get a bomb, remember that North Korea has had a bomb for nearly 15 years. They still have not been able to put it on long-range missiles. Now that's the good news. Well, it's the least bad news. So even if Iran gets an explosive device, successfully tests a bomb, it doesn't mean necessarily that they'll have the missile capability to deliver that bomb against Israel or American targets. So we do have a bit of breathing room here, but Israel is taking the position that prevention is better than cure. Prevent the weapon from being developed. The United States agrees that if Iran gets a bomb, then Saudi Arabia will want to have a bomb. Turkey will want a bomb. South Korea will want a bomb. There will be proliferation of nuclear weapons. Some of these weapons might fall into the hands of terrorist groups and irrational players, and deterrence will no longer hold as it five. So there is a doomsday scenario that various decision makers are working towards, and we're seeing it play out in real time.
Yeah. Gosh, what a lovely place to finish. Stephen, thank you. The doomsday scenario from Stephen Hoadley.